Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. And this migrant issue is getting completely out of control, or has been out of control. And it is just, and in some of our blue major cities like Chicago and New York, that is just an added problem to the crime, to homelessness, to trafficking, human trafficking. And it is a lot, there is a lot of chaos and disruption. And we've had some unfortunate situations where illegal immigrants have committed the most heinous crime you can think of against our American citizens, and that does not provide positive fodder for this migrant crisis. For example, the nursing student in Georgia who was killed by an illegal immigrant. There was a young teenage girl who was killed by 2 to 3 illegal migrants in Texas. You've had the Aurora, Colorado scenario with the Venezuelan gangs and issues with apartment complexes and extortions. Chicago has had tons of issues with this migrant crisis. None of this, with all these illegal immigrants, has not added one positive dime to our economy. Actually, it is putting an added burden and strain on our economy because all of these migrants, illegal migrants, need our social services and need all the help in the world. But here is another heinous crime that has been taking place in New York City. Oh, and by the way, there was, in the last month or two, there was an illegal immigrant who was drunk, and he ran over a St. Louis police officer on the highway and killed him. He has been charged and indicted also. So he killed a St. Louis police officer here right in St. Louis just a few months ago. And now, probably the most depraved, inhumane situation that just took place in New York on a New York subway train by an illegal immigrant who set a woman on fire while she was asleep, and he killed her. So let's get into it. New York City may be the worst place to be right about now. Depravity, undocumented migrant charged with fatally burning woman on subway. An undocumented immigrant was charged with setting a woman on fire, killing her as she slept in the New York City subway. A horrific alleged crime that officials called beyond comprehension. The suspect, identified by police on Monday as 33-year-old Sebastian Zapata, was taken into custody hours after the incident. The depravity of this horrific crime is beyond comprehension, and my office is committed to bringing the perpetrator to justice, Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez said in a statement. This gruesome and senseless act of violence against a vulnerable woman will be met with the most serious consequences. The woman was believed to be asleep on a stationary F train at the Coney Island Stillwell Avenue station in Brooklyn at about 7:30 in the morning on a Sunday when a man approached and lit the victim on fire, police said. Police said they do not believe the two knew each other, and they did not interact prior to the incident. The man allegedly used a lighter to set the victim's clothes on fire. The suspect then left the subway car, police said. Zapata is also charged with second-degree murder and first-degree arson, according to the police. He is likely to make his first court appearance here soon. He last lived in a homeless shelter in East New York Brooklyn, sources said. The suspect is an undocumented immigrant from Guatemala, according to an Immigration and Customs Enforcement spokesperson. He was initially removed from the United States. He had been there already, but he was initially removed from the United States to Guatemala in June of 2018 after U.S. Border Patrol encountered him in Sonoita, Arizona, the spokesman said. He unlawfully re-entered the U.S. at an unknown time and location, the spokesperson said. The victim in Sunday's subway homicide has yet been publicly identified. Police smelled smoke and went to the train to investigate, where they found the woman standing inside the car, fully engulfed in flames. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Images of the suspect were captured on officers' body cameras as that person stayed on the scene after the incident, sitting on a nearby bench. This is the suspect. Those images were released as police requested the public's assistance in identifying the man. 3 high school students recognized him and contacted police. New York City Police Department Commissioner Jessica Tisch said in a press conference Sunday evening. New Yorkers came through again, Tisch said. The suspect was taken into custody in a subway car at Herald Square Sunday evening, and police said he was found with a lighter in his pocket. ICE enforcement and removal operations will lodge an immigration detainer with the NYPD location where Zapata is being held, the ICE spokesman said. What in the world is going on in New York City? The mayor has been indicted. We had this huge Puffy Combs issue. You got the 3 brothers that are the top real estate developers who got charged with the same similar charges as Sean Puffy Combs. The Eastern and Southern District of New York of the feds are going to be extremely busy. And now you have an incident where here again, another illegal migrant has committed the most heinous crime you can think of. He set this poor woman on fire while she was asleep at 7:30 in the morning. What are we doing and where are we headed? There are enough issues that are taking place throughout our country and people suffering. The poverty level is at an all-time high. The lower class, the middle class, there's a heavy financial and emotional burden placed on them. We have inflation, that's a real issue. And now this migrant crisis, they're saying there are maybe 12 to 18 million illegal migrants. And of course, Trump is saying on the first day that he gets in office, he's going to be addressing not only the Ukraine and Russia war and trying to resolve that, but also this immigration issue. Here in St. Louis, even if they didn't influx all of these illegal immigrants, there are only so many, there are very few immigration courts. If you take the state of Missouri, there's just one, and it's in Kansas City, Missouri, one in the entire state. And typically speaking, in the past, for an illegal immigrant to finally get the legal U.S. status as a U.S. citizen, historically it took 5, 7, sometimes even 10 years. Now with several million, 10 to 15 million illegal migrants that are in the United States, there are not even enough migrant courtrooms to even address the issue. It could be 20 years before many of these illegal immigrants' case get brought to court to see if they could get U.S. citizenship. What in the world was the Biden and Harris administration even thinking about? And I think that was one of the things that hurt Kamala Harris's presidential run. And allegedly, she was supposed to be the border czar who never even went to the border in her 4 years of being the vice president. We are having people that are dying each and every day. Crime is already an issue in our major cities like Philadelphia, Chicago, Atlanta, New York City, California. And to add this influx of non-vetted illegal migrants and not trying to bring in the best people from these other countries, they just are allowing any and everybody in. You get more. You get vetted more strenuously as a U.S. citizen applying for a job. So you have to have a valid driver's license, a drug test, a background check, sometimes even a psychological evaluation for certain jobs of employment. But entering our U.S. borders, there has been absolutely no vetting, even vaccination vettings, even a medical and a health screen. We have no idea what and who and what kinds of people have entered this country. I am not anti-immigration. As you know, being in America, all of us, this country was built on immigrants. But there has to be proper vetting. And this is a very unfortunate circumstance where another illegal immigrant has done the most terrible and heinous thing you can do to another human being. It's the most inhumane thing you can do. He set this innocent woman on fire, allegedly, and she passed away. The criminal courts are going to be heavy and filled with trying to resolve these issues. The immigration courts are going to be heavy in trying to resolve this migrant crisis. But we have to get something done. There are enough problems and issues with our own U.S. citizens on its own trying to survive each and every day in this crazy world, that to bring in 12 to 15 million illegal immigrants, and there has been nothing, and there was no form of planning on what to do with these people. It is decimating many of our blue cities, like New York, like Chicago. And our U.S. government has to do something about it real soon. People are losing their lives over this poor decision to just open our borders to any and everyone. Tell me what you think about this story on this illegal immigrant who allegedly set this poor woman on fire, and she died on a subway train in New York City. New York has a lot going on. It's probably number one on the decimation of its moral and ethical fabric in trying to be a sustainable and healthy city right now. I think New York City may be number one, and Chicago is number two. Tell me what you think. This has been the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth.